What up, what up, what up? Welcome to the Thunderdome. We'll switch it up. Well, I'll decide if I want to take it off of like this echoey effect. But for now, I kind of think it's kind of fun. Makes it feel a little bit more spooky. We have some stories tonight. Trying to figure out where we were at last time. And yeah, get everything set up. So here we are. I like this spooky music. I have the candles going. I have my bottle of wine that I'm not going to drink as much of this time. I have a sparkling water, and I'm bitch number 2 today. So that'll be fun. And, you know, I've got my little Puffco right next to me too. So we are gonna get cracking. No time to waste. So the first one is called The Hunter. I'm a hunter, not one of those weekend warriors with a brand new rifle and unscuffed boots. I'm the real deal. I've spent more of my life in the deep, quiet woods than I have in the city. I know the sounds, the smells, the rhythms of the wild. I can tell a deer from a coyote by the way it snaps a twig. I can read a story in a set of tracks. I've always felt more at home out there in a world that operates on a simple, honest set of rules: predator and prey. Last week, I went on a multi-day hunt in a vast, remote section of national forest I'd never explored before. It was a primeval kind of place where the trees were ancient and the silence was so deep it felt like a physical weight. After a day of scouting, I found what I thought was the perfect spot for my tree stand. It was a small, natural clearing, a sun-dappled oasis in the otherwise dense forest. A well-worn game trail cut right through the middle of it. It was a textbook ambush point, a natural funnel. I could see the tracks of deer, fox, even what looked like a black bear. This was it. This was the spot. I set up my stand in a large oak tree just outside the clearing, giving myself a perfect concealed vantage point. Maybe turn the echo down just a little. Okay. I was up in the sand before dawn the next morning, full hour before the sun was due to rise. I settled in, a thermos of hot black coffee in my hand, and I waited. Oh my god, that was so loud. It's me being bitch number 2 drinking this. The forest began to wake up around me. The gray, pre-dawn gloomy slowly gave way to the first tentative rays of sunlight. The air was cool and crisp, and the world was hushed, expectant. This is my favorite moment. The moment of pure, quiet potential. As the sun cleared the horizon, casting long golden shafts of light into the clearing, she appeared. A beautiful, healthy-looking doe. She stepped out of the trees and into the center of the clearing. Her movements graceful and cautious. This was it. A perfect, clean shot. I pulled my eye away from the scope, my heart hammering against my ribs. I looked at her with my naked eyes. She was still there, perfectly real, But where her eyes, her nose, her mouth, and her muzzle should have been, there was just a smooth, featureless, unbroken expanse of brown fur. It was like a sculptor had formed a perfect, lifelike deer, and then had simply forgotten or refused to carve the face. I looked back through the scope, my hands trembling. The magnification made it even more grotesque. There was no detail, no hint of a feature, just a blank, furry canvas, and she was grazing. Her faceless head was bent to the ground, and she was placidly chewing on the grass, chewing with a mouth she didn't have, eating grass she couldn't possibly be swallowing. I lowered my rifle. A wave of nausea and profound, dizzying wrongness washed over me. This was impossible. This was a dream, a hallucination. I squeezed my eyes shut and opened them again. She was still there, still placidly, impossibly grazing. I just sat there in my stand, paralyzed by a mixture of terror and morbid fascination. A few minutes later, a flock of small gray birds descended into the clearing. They landed on the grass near the deer, hopping and chirping. But their chirps were wrong. They were a flat, toneless, repetitive sound, like a broken recording. I had to itch my nose, I'm sorry. I raised my binoculars, my hands shaking so badly it was hard to focus. And I saw that they were wrong too. They had no eyes, no beaks. They were just smooth, bird-shaped lumps of gray feathers, hopping and pecking at the ground they couldn't see, with beaks they didn't possess. Then, a squirrel. It scampered into the clearing, its movements jerky and unnatural. It was a perfect bushy-tailed squirrel shape, but its head was a featureless, furry nub. A rabbit followed, a smooth, long-eared automaton, hopping and twitching a nose that wasn't there. Everything that entered this clearing was a flawed, unfinished copy of a real animal, a gallery of impossible living taxidermy. I looked around the clearing, my eyes searching for an explanation, and I noticed it. A strange, almost invisible shimmer in the air, right in the very center of the clearing, rising from the ground like a heat haze on a hot day. But the air was cool. This was something else, a distortion, a warp in the very fabric of the world. I stayed in that tree stand for hours, a silent, terrified witness to this parade of broken creatures. I couldn't leave. I was pinned there by a need to understand. Late in the afternoon, while scanning the tree line, I saw a flash of plastic. About 30 yards from my stand, strapped to a tree, was a trail camera. It was an older model, its casing weathered and green with moss. It was pointed directly at the clearing. Someone else had seen this. Someone else had been watching. I waited until the light began to fade, until the faceless menagerie had disappeared back into the woods. Then I climbed down from my stand, my legs stiff and unsteady. I made my way over to the trail camera. The latch was rusted shut, but I managed to pry it open with my hunting knife. The SD card was still inside. My hands were trembling as I slotted the card into the portable viewer I carry in my backpack. The screen flickered to life. The first few weeks of photos were exactly what you'd expect. Normal, healthy animals. A handsome buck, a curious fox, a family of raccoons. The clearing was a normal, healthy part of the forest. Then, the pictures started to change. It started subtly. A photo of a fox, perfectly normal, except its ears were just smooth, rounded nubs of fur. A few days later, a picture of a black bear, but its paws were wrong. The long, sharp claws were missing, the pads of its feet smooth and featureless. As I scrolled through the photos, chronologically, the glitch got worse. The changes became more severe. A coyote with no snout, just a tapering of fur, a flock of wild turkeys that were just feathered, headless bodies still pecking at the ground. The last photo on the card was from 2 days ago. It was the doe, the same one I had seen this morning. Her face was a perfect, horrifying, featureless blank. The glitch, whatever it was progressing. It was getting worse. It was learning, but it was a clumsy, terrible student of biology. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat in my cold, dark tent, the images from the clearing and the trail camera playing on a loop in my head. My hunter's brain, the part of me that understood the simple, honest rules of the wild, was screaming. This was not a natural place. These were not natural things. The next morning, whoa, hi, what's up, Rizzler boy? That is an awesome username. Rizzler boy 67. Let's go. Welcome. Thank you for your following. I genuinely love your username. Thank you for following. I already said that like 50 times. Anyways. Okay. The next morning, I was back in my tree stand before dawn. I don't know why. I should have packed my things and hiked out of there as fast as my legs could carry me. But I had to see it again. I had to understand. The faceless deer returned at sunrise, just as it had the day before. The birds without beaks followed. The silent, impossible pantomime of life began again. And then a new actor entered the stage. It was a bear, a massive, healthy, very real black bear. It lumbered out of the trees on the far side of the clearing, its powerful head low to the ground, sniffing the air. It was a magnificent, terrifying animal, the kind of trophy that hunters dream of, but I didn't even think of my rifle. The bear saw the faceless doe, which was still placidly grazing in the center of the clearing. The bear's posture changed. It went from a slow, ambling search to a focused, predatory crouch. This was it. The moment of truth. The intersection of the real and unreal. The bear began to stalk the deer, its movements silent and fluid. The doe, of course, did not react. It had no eyes to see, no ears to hear, no nose to scent the danger. The bear closed the distance, gathering its powerful muscles for the final explosive charge. And then everything happened at once. From every corner of the clearing, they appeared. The fox with no ears, the squirrel with the nub head, a dozen eyeless rabbits, a flock of beaked birds that descended from the trees like a feathered, silent storm. Every broken, glitched creature I had seen and more all emerged from the woods at the same time, and they all moved towards the bear. It wasn't a stampede. It was an attack. A coordinated, silent, utterly terrifying assault. The fox with no ears lunged, its jaws snapping at the bear's legs. The eyeless rabbits swarmed, their bodies thudding against the bear's flank. The beaked birds descended, a flurry of silent pecking motion. The bear roared, a sound of surprise and pain and fury. It swatted at the creatures, sending them flying, but there were too many. They moved with a jerky, unnatural purpose, a hive mind of flawed creations. And in that moment of absolute, heart-stopping horror, I finally understood. The clearing wasn't a glitch. It was a trap. It was a hunting ground for something else, something from outside. The flawed animals, they were lures, poorly constructed, but effective. An entity that didn't understand biology perfectly, but it knew what shapes should be in a forest. It knew what a predator would be drawn to. The faceless deer wasn't the prey, the bear was. This entire impossible menagerie of broken creatures was the bait. And I was sitting in a tree stand, a silent spectator at a feeding. I should have run then, but I was frozen, my mind reeling with the terrible cosmic implications of what I was witnessing. I was watching something that was not of this world hunt in a way that did not obey its rules. The bear, roaring in a mixture of rage and terror, finally broke free from the swarm of silent, attacking puppets. It turned and fled, crashing back into the woods. The glitched animals in silent, jerky pursuit. The clearing was empty again. The silence that fell was more profound, more terrifying than ever before. And that's when I heard it. A sound that didn't belong. The soft, deliberate snap of a twig directly behind me. I froze. Every muscle in my body went rigid. The sound had come from the base of the tree. Slowly, my heart a block of ice in my chest. I turned my head. Oh. A man was standing there, at the bottom of my tree stand ladder. He was a hunter. He was dressed in the same camouflage gear as me, holding a rifle that was identical to my own, and he was looking up at me. Or he would have been, if he had had eyes. Where his face should have been, there was just a smooth, blank, featureless expanse of pale skin. He raised his rifle, the one that was a perfect copy of mine, and I finally understood the last, most terrible piece of the puzzle. I didn't wait. I didn't scream. I just moved. I scrambled out of my stand, half climbing, half falling down to the other side of the tree, my expensive rifle abandoned. I hit the ground hard, the impact jarring my teeth, and I ran. I didn't look back. I didn't dare. I just ran. My lungs burning, my mind a blank slate of pure animal terror. I burst out of the woods and onto the dirt road where I'd parked my car, my hand shaking so badly it took me 3 tries to get the key in the ignition. I'm home now, but I'm not safe. I keep seeing him, not the real one, the copy, in the corner of my eye, in the reflection of a dark window, in a crowd of people. A man in my clothes, with my build, but with a face that is smooth and horrifyingly blank. I don't know what the thing in the clearing is, but I know that it saw me. It learned my shape, and now it has a new lure. A new perfect bait to place in its silent, deadly trap. And I have the terrible, unshakable feeling that one day it's going to use it to hunt for another human. That is the end of that story. That was really good. This one was called The Hunter that we just read. That was really good. Ooh, I hate that it figured out how to mimic a man. Heavy breath. I'm gonna take a short break because I need to pee. My throat also got so dry while reading that. Oh my god. Sorry for the raspy ASMR. Alright, I'm gonna go use the restroom really quick. So I'm just gonna leave the music the same, and I'll be right back. taking a break real quick. Let's get a glass of wine started. I love this creepy music. It's so good. I feel like somehow it always ends up like shifting into a more intense and like as it like slowly builds through the stories, and it really like adds to it. It's pretty sick. But I just like found this. Like it's just random. We are drinking on some Apothic Red tonight. Royalty-free music, am I right? You gotta do what you gotta do. We listen to the scary music. So, get our glass of wine. I've got my little Puffco preheating for a quick little Zabaruski. Man, that red wine is a lot better than the other one that I had for the last Frightful Fables. It was really bad. This one actually is like sweet somehow still. I haven't had a red wine that's sweet, and this one is. Thanks for listening to me yap with like weird music in the background. Okay, we're gonna come.
Actually wanted that one, not the deeper voice. I feel like
That makes it. Oh. Oh, God. Yay. Thanks for the. Sorry, hold on.
There we go. Thank you for the follow, Mary Jane. That cracked me up. I was pressing the wrong buttons on my soundboard. It wasn't working. Thank you so much for the follow. We are about to get started on another story. Okay. This one is called She Learns So Fast. Also, sourcing all of these from the Creepypasta Reddit. This one's by Dude It's Brian. But I don't know if these people really want to be like shouted out like that. So that is where I'm getting these stories. Okay. So she learned so fast. The baby monitor was my idea. Anna thought the old audio from when we had Carter was fine, but I wanted the upgrade. The V-Link Pro 7, stupid name, I know, had everything. Night vision, temperature alerts, cry detection, the works. I could check on Lily from work, from the grocery store, wherever. Felt like I was actually doing something as a dad, you know? First couple weeks, perfect. I'd wake up at night, grab my phone, watch her little chest going up and down on the grainy green screen. Worth the $300, easily. Then the static started. Around 3 a.m., just this crackling would last maybe 15 minutes. I figured it was the neighbor's Wi-Fi or something. Our subdivision is basically one giant mesh network of Ring doorbells and smart fridges. That's so funny. I just burped. Sorry, I was trying to not burp in the mic. Next time I will, though, so that you get a taste. Ew, sorry. That was a crazy thing to drop in the beginning of this fucking stories. Just disregard. We're gonna keep moving. Take a sip of wine really quick. Yeah, okay. Lily was fine on the screen, so whatever. Anna never even woke up for it. A week later, I'm lying there listening to it, and I realize the static has a pattern. No, not a pattern. A sound underneath it. Like someone going shh, but stretched out and distorted. Almost like waves. Which was weird because we had her sound machine on rainforest mode, not ocean. I checked twice. I went into her room, dead quiet except for her breathing. The second I got back in bed and looked at my phone, there it was again, that slow, deep shushing through the speaker. Yeah, that creeped me out. So I did the whole IT guy routine. New Wi-Fi channel, moved the router, factory reset, 2 nights of nothing. Thought I'd nailed it. Third night, it wasn't shushing anymore. It was humming. I shot up so fast I almost knocked my phone off the nightstand. Anna just rolled over. On the screen, Lily hadn't moved. The room looked empty, but something was humming through my phone. Not a recording either. You could hear the little catches of breath, the way it wavered slightly. Someone was in that room with my daughter, humming to her. My brain went straight to, we've been hacked. Some creep watching my kid. I checked the app's logs, nothing. Just my phone connected. No other devices, no login attempts, nothing. Next night, I'm ready for it, lying there, death gripping my phone under the covers like I'm 12 and hiding my Game Boy. 2:54 a.m., right on schedule, the humming starts. I hit the talk button. My thumb kept slipping on the screen from sweat. Had to try twice. Who's there? It came out like a croak. I cleared my throat, tried again. I can hear you. Who the fuck is in my daughter's room? The humming stopped. Not all at once, it sort of wound down. Like when you stop a music box mid-song. Like whoever it was had heard me and was now just listening back. The silence stretched. 5 seconds. 10. My ears were ringing from straining to hear. Then, through the tiny phone speaker, so soft, I almost thought I imagined it. Long and drawn out. Patient. Like how you'd quiet a baby. Or like how you'd warn someone. I was out of bed before my brain caught up. Bare feet slapping on the hallway floor. Oh my god, sorry. I'm an actual child. That's such a crazy detail. Bare feet slapping on the floor. Jesus. Sorry. Okay. Oh god, okay. Let me start that over because I ruined it. I was out of bed before my brain caught up. Bare feet slapping on the hallway floor, shoulder hitting the door frame hard enough to bruise. I didn't turn on the hall light. Some primitive part of my brain thought if I stayed in the dark, maybe whatever was in there wouldn't see me coming. My hand was on Lily's doorknob when I stopped. What if opening it was what it wanted? What if I was about to see something that would break me? Fuck it, that's my kid. I threw the door open and slammed the light switch with my palm. The sudden brightness was like a flashbang. Everything went white for a second. Lily's scream hit me like a physical thing, but I was scanning the room, while wild-eyed, ready to fight whatever sick fuck was in there. Nothing. Nobody. The closet door was open the same 3 inches we always leave it. Her dresser drawers were all closed. The rocking chair in the corner wasn't even moving. The window, I checked twice. Locked from the inside, no smudges on the glass. I even looked under the damn crib like something could fit under there. Lily was going full air raid siren now, her face purple red, those angry newborn fists shaking. I scooped her up, probably too roughly. She screamed harder. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. I was saying, "It's okay, it's okay," over and over, but my voice was too high, too thin. She could tell something was wrong. Babies always know. Anna stumbled in, squinting. "What happened? Why is she—" "Camera's fucked," I said. Couldn't think of anything else. Making weird noises. Scared me. She took Lily from me. Had to actually unpry my fingers and started doing that bouncing, swaying thing that actually works. My daughter's cries downshifted to hiccups. Anna was looking at me like I'd grown a second head. "You look like you saw a ghost." I forced a laugh. It sounded insane even to me. Just, the noise was really weird. Sounded like someone was in there. "Through the monitor?" "Yeah, I'll take it down. We'll just use the old one." I yanked the camera off its mount hard enough to leave a dent in the drywall. The little power cord whipped around as I wound it up. The whole time, I kept looking at the screen on my phone, still open to the app. The night vision was just showing my own face from below. Pale green, eyes hollow like a skull. I closed the app and deleted it right there. That camera went straight to the garage. I didn't even turn on the light, just felt my way to the back corner where we keep the Christmas decorations in old college shit. Shoved it under a box of my old psych textbooks. Ironic, right? Then put 2 more boxes on top of it, for good measure. Like I was burying something. Told Anna it was broken. We went back to the audio monitor, the ancient one with the crackling speaker in the range of about 15 feet. For a month, nothing. Just normal baby sounds. I started thinking maybe I had imagined it. Sleep deprivation does weird things to you. Then last night, I'm giving Lily her bottle, and I start humming. Just this old thing my grandma used to hum. Hadn't thought about it in forever. 3 notes, over and over. Really simple. Lily finishes eating, starts to drift off, and then she hums. Not baby sounds. Not gargling or cooing. She hummed the exact same 3 notes back to me. She's 4 months old. 4-month-olds don't do that. She hummed it again, eyes closed, this little smile on her face, and I recognized it. It was the exact same voice, the same soft humming I'd heard through that monitor a month ago. The camera was never the problem. It was just picking up what was already in the room. What's been in the room this whole time. Ooh. when the baby ends up being the scary fucking thing. Oh, no hackers, babies. What's worse than a rapist? A child. No. That was good though. Spooky. I'm kind of have goose pimples, goose cam. Okay. Let's go. Story 10. Baylight. What's the name of this one? I'm gonna burp. Nope. It's just gonna come out randomly. Oh god, that was awful. I'm so sorry. No, okay. Well, I have a hernia, okay? It's in my throat. It's not great. And I'm not joking, that's real. So, burping is kind of hard for me. I only leave the house when the town sleeps. My mother cannot hear the latch of my bedroom, the creaking of my footsteps, and the closing of our door. Tonight, the eye of the storm is far away, but its fog floods the bay. A ship sits there, its lantern seething in defiance. No one to greet me, no one to see, not a soul resides outside but me. My neighbors' windows are all dark, cracked open. I see the curtains gently swaying into their rooms, the darkened shells breathing through the chimneys. A quiet night like this is the only time I find myself able to leave the house. Times when my mother sleeps, when my neighbors dream, I wonder. My heels click and clack with each step, muffled by the fog. I creep towards the docks. The air thickens with salt and rot as I near the water. Sitting on the dock's cold planks, the waves lick at my feet dangling off the side. The ship does not come in. It breathes where it is, swelling and settling on the anchor line, and I breathe with it. The fog wafts over it. A single lantern, flickering, pierces through the cloud. My mother has not heard why it remains out in the bay. No one seems to know yet. Shadows roam about the ship, back and forth. The masses pulse with life, anchored against the tide. Time flows through the night, and I return to the safety of my home. My feet are still damp when I crawl into bed. The room feels smaller, air thick with the scent of bay water and smoke. I must have slept, because the next thing I know, my mother's hands are shaking me awake, her voice cracking and shaking. In my state between sleep and wake, I see her mouth moving. I hear her voice, but nothing comes through. Her brow is furrowed and a vein pops under her forehead. Stupid is the only word that pokes through the haze. Oh, thank you so much for the follow, Golden Dog. That's a good name. Thank you so much for the follow. I really appreciate it. Finally, my ears perk and focus on my surroundings. You could have gotten sick. Why in heaven's name did you go outside? You're too weak to be walking around like that. What if someone found you alone? They could have taken you. My mother always tells me the horrors of the outside world, how it is cruel and dangerous. I wonder what gave myself away. For years, I would sneak outside as everyone sleeps, go and see the moon, hang my feet in the water of the shore. It gave me a sense of freedom or rebellion. I'm sorry, Mom, please. I just wanted to see the ship in the harbor. So I can take you off to war like your father? No, you must stay home. My mother's eyes broke as she held my head in her hands. That ship is nothing but bad news. You stay away from it. Stay inside where it is safe. You need to go clean up. Having been outside, who knows what else you track back with you? What else? That mention stands out in my brain as I walk to wash myself. Squelch, splash. The floor is cold and wet. My own footsteps, left hours ago, still glisten from the front door to my bed. I look outside. The sun is high, yet the trail from the dockyard to my door gleams, stubborn and unbroken. My day is spent sitting at my window and eating with my mother. I ask her again when my father will come home. I see her eyes strain and quiver for but a moment. With a deep breath, she tells me that the Great War took him away. When will the fighting stop? Could Father come home then? No, dear, the war will never end. The table grew silent after that, and my mother ushered me to bed quickly, a decision I protested as best I could, though she was much bigger than me. She swathes me in my blankets and kisses my forehead. As she gets up to leave, I ask her to stay, that I'm scared. She pulls up her rocking chair. She hums an old lullaby, one that I've heard since before I was born. one her mother used to sing to her and her mother before. The words I do not recognize, but they creep into my ears and rock my soul to sleep. Gently my mother sings. That melody drags me into the soft dark, my eyes too heavy to be scared. I still hear her crying through my dreams. I promise my mother to never go outside again. The words feel like poison as I say them, but it calms her enough to take her leave for her work. I still do not know what she does. She leaves all day, sometimes all night, only coming back to bring me food and a soft kiss on my forehead. It's been 3 days since she returned. The dust is starting to pile onto our pictures, her chair, her bed. I read when I can, but I can only do so for so long before my brain fills with fog and my eyes unfocus. Knock, knock, knock. I peek through the curtains of my door. My fingers leave small prints in the glass. The neighbor towers over the doorknob, his face wrinkled but soft. He peers down to me, gesturing for me to open the door. My hand shakes as I do so. Hello, child. Is your mother home? No, sir. She has not returned from work yet. Still? Little one, you've been alone for 3 nights now. Have you anything to eat? Yes, sir. My mother left me a loaf of bread, though I finished it last night. Child, would you like to come with me? I have food at my home next door. You could have your fill. My daughter is your age. I believe you two can play. My mother forbids me from leaving, sir. Ah, yes, quite. I do remember her asking me to tell her, should I ever see you outside again. Why is that? She says I'm too weak, that I will get sick. It is safe in our home, it is warm. Very well, but I will send my daughter over soon with fresh food. If you do not eat, you will surely get sick. Thank you, sir. He hobbled down the steps to the street, his cane catching in the cracks of the cobblestone. I sat and waited, back pressed to the door and nodded off. Knock, knock, knock. A small girl stood outside the door, a covered tray in hand. Hello. My dad said I am to deliver this to the boy next door. Is anyone there? I opened the door. She quickly put the tray in my hands, the weight shifting uncomfortably in my hands. I looked up to thank her, but she was already turned away to leave. The days pass without change. By the third, the silence feels heavier than hunger. Please stay, just for a moment. She hovers in the doorway, then slips inside, the fog scent following her. I had almost forgotten what a voice sounds like. What's happening in town? I asked. She brightens a little. The ship finally docked, she says. They say it brought gifts from far-off places. Oils, bombs, maybe even fruit. Have you seen it? She shakes her head. Not yet. Father promised he'd take me soon. Her voice dips. He keeps saying soon. My mother's words echoed in my head to stay away from the ship. I was afraid, but I was curious. My mother would call it snake oil, but what if it was more? Could it fix me? The next few days, the neighbor's daughter would bring me food and sit at my door while I ate. She would tell me of her day, though it was uneventful. I still appreciated the company. Then she started asking about me. Why won't your mother let you leave? She says I'm sick and the outside world will take advantage and be cruel. Where's your mother? She's working. She'll be home soon. The days passed, and each night was the same. She would ask if I'm okay. I would say yes, though the words fell out my mouth like ice and fingernails. My mother had never been gone for this long, and I was scared. I promised her I would never leave again. My mind held on to that thought like a vice, the voice in my head echoing if I disobeyed, she would never return. I saw the neighbor one day, his cane clanking on the stones, his wrinkles dragging off his face, covered his eyes now. He walked with his daughter to the docks. Her eyes were red, her cheeks puffed, and her nose runny. They stopped at my door. The neighbor did not knock. He spoke to me through the door. "Child, would you like to come down to the docks with us?" His breath smelt of old milk, filtered through the doorway. Damn. "No, my mother forbids it." "Your mother's not here." I asked if you would like to. "Please, no. She'll be home soon." "Very well, little one." The two departed from my stoop. I could hear the daughter sniffling through the door, asking to go home. The neighbor's words, lost to the world, sounded cruel. The food stopped arriving at my door. I had not seen the daughter in days. Yet again, I spot them walking towards the docks. The man grinned wide as we walked, pulling his daughter, tears running down her cheeks. Again, they stopped at my door. "Child, would you like to come down to the docks with us?" "No," I said, my voice losing itself half out my lips. Such a tone. You should not speak to your elders in such a way, boy. "What's down there?" "At the docks? Such wonders, boy. Oils, bombs, gifts from beyond the horizon. You must come see." "I cannot. My mother forbids it." No one speaks for a moment. The neighbor, his wrinkled face, looks toward me. His eyes lay in the shadow of his brow, a small glint of white in the darkness, seething, breathing like the tide. "Your mother, she's not returned?" "She will soon." I don't believe the words I speak. Miracles they bring, one may heal your aching lungs. Surely your mother would want you to partake. I do not respond. His voice echoes through the door. They leave again. The daughter watches me through the curtains, her eyes dark and tired, her mouth shut. I tried to keep her from my thoughts as I slept that night. Knock, knock, knock. Again, the neighbor hits my door, peering through the curtains, his eyes unfocused, tapping his cane on my door. His face sagged. His teeth shined through his mouth as pools of drool drained from the corners of his lips. I wish I did not look, and I wish he had not seen me. "Child, I saw your mother down at the docks. She waits for you. She asked me to bring you with us today. Will you come?" "My mother? Why has she not come to fetch me herself?" "Because, dear child, because she cannot. Her work keeps her there. She helps the ship take off its beauty. She says the ship is nothing but cruel, like when my father was taken away." Dear boy, she told me of your father. He never returned, did he?" I took a step away from the door. A puddle had formed on my dorm step, seeping its way into my home, shimmering as it slithered and stuck to my feet. My neighbor's words grew cruel with my lack of response. He spoke with such vitriol, bombarding me with threats and disappointments, telling me the whispers of the town, the whispers of my family. They all were glad I was not there, that I had chosen to remain home. He spoke with my father, long ago, who had left for war. "He did not die on the front, dear boy. He couldn't bear to look upon your face. Not once to gaze upon his failure. You disgusted him, you tortured him with your cryings, your wailings. Nothing was left for him here. He cursed your mother with your upbringing, alone, to the town's single mother whose husband would rather die on the fields of battle than be home." His words ached into my bones, rattling in my skull, bouncing from ear to ear. I could not hear anything but his cruelty. I begged him to go away. I sobbed and wept, pleading for him to tell me it was not true, but he laughed. His daughter laughed. My feet were soaked from the pool lapping at my door by the time I noticed he had left. His drool smelt not of alcohol, which I had suspected to be the reason for his anger, but smelt of sweet berries and fish. The smell made me dizzy, and I soon lost consciousness, face down on the floor. I do not know how long I slept, but when I awoke, the puddle was gone, but my face lay stuck to the wooden floorboards, my lips wet with the taste of cod and raspberries. The thoughts of the dockyard echoed in the back of my mind, voices of my mother beckoning me to come to her, to stay home, to leave the doorway, to walk down the street. My legs moved as I was lost in those thoughts, and I found myself with the door open. My mother. I could hear her, the lullaby drifting from afar. Was she really calling for me? Should I follow? An angel. No one to greet me. No one to see. Not a soul resides outside but me. My neighbors' windows are all dark, cracked open. I see the curtains gently swaying into their rooms, draping across figures in the depths. Lights in the bay of windows followed me, bobbing in the black. My ears fill with the echo of distant trumpets. My heels click and clack with each step. I creep towards the docks. The street stretches to the dock, trumpets deafeningly endless hurt as I walk. But again I smell the sweet alluring aroma bellowing from the docks. I hear through the horns a choir, unyielding and overbearingly pure. I think I hear her voice singing in the crowd, that soft lullaby, now a cry of salvation, the words still remaining foreign. I hope comfort lies beyond. I walk until the cobblestone ends, until my feet touch the tide, until the voice sounds like mine. And that is the end of that story. Wow. That was really well written. Like, very pleasing to read, I feel like. Also sad and kind of weird. Like, why did the guy get so aggressive? It was like he was trying to lure him and got angrier and angrier that he wasn't taking the bait. Kind of strange. Wow. Well. Whew. Hello, child. That was so funny to say. Hello, child. Oh. Yeah. I worked a full shift today, so forgive me for being kind of like quiet. I also don't want to disrupt too much from reading the story during the story, unless it's like I can't help it. But I'm tired. I'm gonna after this take a bubble bath and eat some leftover curry. I made a Japanese style curry last night from scratch, and it was really good. Really, really good. Yeah. I don't know why I always get red wine. I know people don't like it, and I don't even really like it that much. But I also like it at the same time. Why do I like the nasty juice, huh? What part of animal is that? You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? I made my PC different colors. I don't think you can see it at all. Yeah, it's like just a big light. It's circulating between like yellow and red. It has like flashing in there, but it's not showing. Ooh. Oh, might have been because I accidentally knocked the cord down there. We had a Halloween party this weekend. It was so much fun. The past month has been insane. I'm so excited for it to slow down. for us to just get back to like normal stream and normal movie nights. But for Halloween, you gotta go hard. You can't not go hard. Like, huh, that's weird. The little, like, buzzing. I'm gonna use the restroom really quick, and then we'll get back to reading. I'll probably just leave the spooky music on like I did previously. Okay. Okay. Time to get back to it. Thank you all for being patient. Usually don't need to pee this many times, but it be like that. All right. Also, if you want to join our Discord server, we do movie nights, and tomorrow night we will be doing a movie night. The voting actually for what movie we're gonna watch for Halloween movie night ends at 8 p.m. tonight. So, and I think we have a tie, and we like are needing a tiebreaker. So, feel free to join us. We talk about all kinds of random stuff. So, alrighty. Okay, so this one's called The Voice in the Drain. Okay. I don't know how much time I have. I'm typing this from my laptop, wedged into the corner of my living room, as far away from the bathroom as I can get. I've barricaded the door with the bookshelf. It's a stupid, pointless gesture, I know. It's not about keeping something out anymore. It's about keeping myself in. I'm afraid of what I'll do if I go back there. It started about 3 months ago. I'd just come off a brutal project at work. 60-hour weeks, take out for dinner every night, sleeping in 4-hour chunks. I was a wreck. My apartment, which had always been my little sanctuary in the city, started to feel like a cage. It's an old building, the kind with character, which is just a real estate agent's way of saying it's falling apart in slow motion. The plumbing groans and sighs like an old man settling into bed. The walls are thin enough to hear my neighbors' arguments about their cat. I was used to the sounds. They were part of the building's personality. That sounds awful, truly. The first time I heard her, I was just washing my face before collapsing into bed. It was late, maybe 2 a.m. The only light was the dim bulb over the bathroom mirror, making my reflection look pale and hollowed out. I turned on the cold tap, the water rushing out with a percussive hiss that echoed in the small, tiled room. And underneath that hiss, something else. A thin, reedy sound, like a badly tuned radio, heard from a great distance. I turned the water off. Silence. Just the faint hum of the refrigerator from the kitchen. I chalked it up to exhaustion, auditory pareidolia. My brain was just making patterns out of the white noise of the pipes, same way you see faces in clouds. I splashed water on my face, dried off, and went to bed. But it happened again in the next morning. I was in the shower, the water drumming against the fiberglass tub. There it was again, clearer this time. A voice, a woman's voice, muffled and distorted by the water. I couldn't make out words, just a cadence of distress, a soft, desperate moaning. I killed the shower and stood there, dripping, listening. The sound vanished with the water. The silence that followed felt heavy, watchful. This became the new normal. Every time I ran the shower and the water out, I ran the water in the bathroom, the sink, the shower, even flushing the toilet. Her voice would be there, a faint, ghostly undercurrent to the sound of the plumbing. For weeks, I lived with it. I told myself it was a logical problem with a logical solution. I asked my next door neighbor about it, the one with the cat. He just gave me a weird look and said he hadn't heard anything. I tried to trace the sound, pressing my ear against the wall, against the pipes under the sink. It seemed to come from everywhere at once, from the very heart of the building's circulatory system. My rationalizations started to fray at the edges. The voice was becoming clearer. It had words, fragmented, broken pleas that rode the waves of running water. So cold. Can't get out. Please, someone, help me. I started timing my showers, making them as fast as possible. I washed my hands with a frantic burst of water and then silence. The bathroom, my small private space, began to feel like hostile territory. I felt a knot of dread tighten in my stomach every time I had to push the door open. The air in there felt different, colder, and heavier. One night, I came home late, bone-tired and just wanting to sleep. I went to brush my teeth, turning the tap on just a trickle to wet my toothbrush. Her voice came through with chilling clarity, as if she were whispering right into the drain. I'm on the roof. It gurgled, the sound distorted as if spoken through a mouthful of water. In the tank, the water tank. Please, it's so dark in here. I dropped my toothbrush. It clattered against the porcelain sink. My heart felt like it was trying to beat its way out of my chest. The roof. The water tank. It was insane. A delusion brought on by stress and a lack of sleep. That had to be it. But the plea had been so specific. For the next week, I was a ghost in my own apartment. I bought bottled water. I used the gym at work to shower. I avoided my bathroom entirely, but the silence was somehow worse. I kept imagining I could hear it, a faint whisper just on the edge of my hearing, even when the water wasn't running. I felt like I was losing my mind. The thought of this woman, this voice, trapped in suffering, gnawed at me. Was I going crazy, or was I ignoring a person's desperate cry for help? What if she was real? The guilt was so immense. Last night was the breaking point. A storm rolled in, and the rain hammered against my windows. I had to use the toilet. As the cistern refilled with a long, drawn-out hiss, her voice came through louder than ever before, filled with the raw, gurgling panic that cut right through me. The water is rising. Please, I can't. I can't breathe. He's going to. Oh God, please help me! It ended in a choked off scream that was swallowed by the final gurgle of the toilet filling up. I stood there, frozen, my whole body trembling. That was it. I couldn't live with the uncertainty anymore. I couldn't live with the possibility that I was letting someone die 60 feet above my head while I tried to convince myself I was just tired. Crazy or not, I had to go up there. I had to look. The door to the roof access was at the end of the hall on the top floor. It was a heavy metal fire door that was always kept locked. I'd seen the building superintendent use his master's key on it once or twice. I went back to my apartment and grabbed a toolkit, a credit card, and a tension wrench. I'm not a burglar, but you can pick things up from watching too many movies. It took me 20 agonizing minutes of fumbling with the lock, my hands slick with sweat, every scrape of metal sounding like a gunshot in the silent hallway. Finally, with a dull thunk, the lock gave way. I pushed the door open and was hit by a blast of cold, damp air. The rain had eased to a drizzle. The roof was a flat, black expanse of tar, glistening under the sickly orange glow of the city's light pollution. And there, in the center of the roof, was the water tank. It was bigger than I had imagined. A huge black metal cylinder, maybe 12 feet high and just as wide, standing on a squat framework of steel grinders. It looked ancient and monolithic, like some forgotten altar. A thin, rusty metal ladder was bolted to its side. Every instinct was screaming at me to run, to turn back, to lock the door and forget any of this ever happened. But the sound of that final, gurgling scream was still ringing in my ears. I walked toward the tank, my shoes making soft, sticky sounds on the wet tar. The air up here was thin and smelled of rain and exhaust fumes. As I got closer, I could hear a low, rhythmic sloshing from inside the tank, a gentle tidal sound. I put my hand on the ladder. The metal was cold and slick with rain. I took a deep breath and started to climb. The rungs were thin and felt like they were bowing under my weight. The wind whipped at my jacket, trying to push me off. Halfway up, I stopped and pressed my ear against the cold, curved wall of the tank. I couldn't hear a voice, just that soft, rhythmic shifting of water inside, a large volume of it, moving slowly. I kept climbing until my head was level with the top. There was a large, circular lid, like an oversized manhole cover. It looked heavy. It had 2 rusted handles. I gripped them, the rust flaking off under my fingers, and pulled. It wouldn't budge. I braced my feet on the top rung of the ladder and pulled again, throwing all my weight into it. It moved with a deep, groaning screech of metal on metal. I slid it just enough to create a gap, maybe a foot wide. The smell hit me first. It wasn't the smell of decay or rot, nothing I could identify. It was an organic, alien scent, like a damp cave mixed with ozone and something vaguely biological. It was thick and cloying and made the back of my throat itch. I peered into the darkness. The water inside was black and still, reflecting the orange-tinged clouds above like a broken mirror. I couldn't see anything. My relief was so profound, it almost made my knees buckle. It was just water. It was all in my head. I was just a sleep-deprived idiot standing on a roof in the rain. I started to push the lid closed, and then the water moved. It wasn't a ripple from the wind. It was something immense shifted beneath the surface. The water bulged upwards silently. I froze, my hand still on the lid. A shape broke the surface. It wasn't a person. It was a pale, chitinous plate, the color of old bone, and it was slick with black water. I don't know what that is. It was maybe the size of a dinner plate, and then another one surfaced next to it, and another, rising in a long, elegant, horrifying curve, a segment. I was looking at a single segment of something impossibly long. My mind just stopped. It refused to process what I was seeing. The segment was followed by more, emerging from the depths in a silent, undulating sequence. The body was as thick around as a telephone pole, and it seemed to go on forever, coiling in the vast, dark space of the tank. And then I saw the legs. On the side of each segment, just below the waterline, was a fringe of them. They were a mass of fine, hair-like appendages, hundreds of them per segment, all moving in a slow, hypnotic rhythm, like cilia. They stirred the water with an unnatural grace. I should have screamed. I should have fallen off the ladder, but I was paralyzed, locked in place by a primal, reptilian kind of fear that bypasses all higher brain function. And then it turned. The long, pale curve of its body began to rotate slowly in the water. One of the segments, then another, rolled toward me. That's when I saw the eyes. There were no eyes on its head. I don't even know if it had a head. There were eyes on its body. Embedded in the center of each bony plate was a single round black eye. A simple, glossy, unblinking bead. Ooh, that made my tummy hurt. And there were hundreds of them. 100 segments, 100 eyes. 1,000 segments, 1,000 eyes. All down the length of its submerged, coiling body. I need to take a drink. Ooh. I'm sorry, that was loud. I don't like this one. This one's scaring me. Sounding icky. Oh, God. As the creature turned, the eyes rose above the water one by one, and one by one they fixed on me. Finally, God. My paralysis broke. I didn't scream. The sound was trapped in my throat, a choked, silent sob. I slammed the heavy lid back into place. The clang of metal on metal was deafening. I didn't wait to see if it was secure. I practically fell down the ladder, hit my hands and feet slipping on the wet rungs. I hit the tar of the roof hard, scraping my palms, but I didn't feel it. I scrambled to my feet and ran. I fumbled with the roof door, wrenched it open, and threw myself back into the hallway, slamming it shut behind me. I didn't bother to see if the lock caught. I sprinted down the flights of stairs, taking them two at a time, my breath coming in ragged, painful gasps. I burst into my apartment and slammed and locked the door, throwing the deadbolt and the chain. I stumbled through my living room and into the far corner, collapsing to the floor, my back against the wall. And I sat there for hours, I think, just shaking, listening. The building is silent now. The pipes are no longer groaning. The water is still. The voice is gone from the bathroom. It's not gone completely, though. It's quieter now, and so much closer. It's in my head. A whisper, a soft, sibilant sound, like dry leaves skittering across pavement. It's not made of words, not anymore. It's made of images, feelings. It's showing me things. The cold black water, the endless, patient waiting, the feeling of 100 bodies, of 1,000 legs moving in perfect, silent unison. It's showing me myself through its eyes, hundreds of versions of me peering over the edge of its world. A small, warm, frightened thing. It saw me. It knows I'm here. It knows I know. Oh, welcome in. Thank you for chatting. I know, this is really freaking creepy. It saw me. It knows I'm here. It knows I know. And the whispers in my head have a new tone. A promise. It's telling me about the water. Thank you so much for the follow. How it connects everything in this building. Every tap, every drain, every toilet. It's telling me how patient it can be. I'm writing this because I don't know what else to do. Calling the cops sounds insane. Hello, officer? There's a giant centipede thing in my building's water tank and it's whispering in my brain. They'd lock me up. What do you call for something like this? Yay. Thanks for being here. I'm super grateful and thank you for following. This is something I want to do and I think like keep doing, but I want to like do different spins on it. In the whispers in my head. Oh wait. I'm writing this because I don't know. Oh no. I'm so thirsty, but I can't drink the water. I can't even go near the bathroom. I can feel it, waiting on the other side of the pipes. Every drain is an ear. Every faucet is a mouth. What do I do? Do I run? Where would I go? It saw me. It knows my face from 100 different angles. Does it stay in the tank? Or does it come looking for the one who got away? The whispers are getting stronger. They feel curious. Please, someone tell me what to do. I'm in my living room. I've pushed everything I own against the bathroom door, but I know it won't matter. Sooner or later, I'm going to have to face the pipes again, and I don't think it's going to be pleading for help this time. That is the end of that story. Ooh, I don't like centipedes. Don't like centipedes. My friend has been bitten by one. So she has a centipede tattoo. But like, it's not too detailed. It's really cute actually. But that was icky. Yikes, brother. Oh, goodness, I need another sip of wine. I'm so thankful for some new followers, new people coming in. Golden Dog, we also do movie nights if you'd be interested in joining in that. I think I already did drop the Discord in the chat, but I'll drop it again. You're not required to chat or do anything. We just watch movies together. And I do it on like Friday nights. I try to do it on Friday nights. We have one coming up tomorrow night for Halloween. So you're welcome to join. We have other like things, like if you have a Halloween costume you want to share, please share it. We want to see. There we go. Is it showing up for you now? If not, I can send it to you via whisper too. But yeah, we actually need more votes on our movie night. So if you want to help us out, we're trying to figure out what to watch. Of course, yeah. I mean, it's like new people in the community. I want to be warm and welcoming. I mean, I'm happy to have you here and to have you be interested in watching. So, I do a lot of diverse content. This is new. I really went hard this October for Halloween. So, but it's so fun. I want to do another thing like it. But I kind of want to try to keep it seasonal somehow, because it just seems fun. Like I like seasons a lot in that way. So I'm gonna snooze that ad because the ads have been going crazy. Yeah. So I'll hopefully be able to like keep the fun times going, I did a crazy makeup look this week. And I think I want to do another one of those, but like also themed for for the seasons and holidays. So, yeah. All right, you guys. I needed a little palate cleanser after that one because that one was, not so good. I'm gonna take a drink from my bitch 2 cup. My boyfriend and I got these in Las Vegas, and I could not like pass it up. Bitch 1 and bitch 2. And he's out playing Magic tonight, so my bitch 1 isn't here, so I'm bitch 2 tonight. I don't think it makes any sense, but I'm not about making sense. I'm about having fun. Having a good time. Gonna take another drink of, finish off this wine, and then we'll get started. Good Lord. Okay. I'm trying to motivate myself. Sorry. Some of the last ones were really gory, but that one was just gross. Like, I just didn't like it. It didn't like that it was like a woman's voice too. A woman's voice being used to like lure people. Nasty. I really don't want to spill red wine. This sounds a little bit too joyful, so we're, I think, gonna need to skip ahead a little bit. Cool. I feel like this stream is like sounding a lot more ASMR vibes. Hope you guys are enjoying that. Because I invested in a nice microphone for that reason, so that you could listen to me real good. Okay, listen, I have had 1 glass of wine, alright? Please don't be mean to me. Don't bully me. Okay. Enough. So the next one is called Patient 347. Okay. My name is Emily. I turned 19 in March. I'll turn that down maybe a little. 2 months later, I was diagnosed with osteosarcoma, a rare form of bone cancer. Some people win the Powerball. I win a cancer, which there are only 1,000 cases a year of. Lucky me. My friends were finishing their freshman year of university. Meanwhile, I was bald, hooked to machines, and surrounded by white walls that hum. I couldn't do anything but sob to myself softly every night. Each night that I would hold my knees to my chest crying, I would pray to God, please help me. I'm too young to die. I don't want to leave my friends and family. Eventually, I had to come to a realization. I was wasting my time. Damn, that's sad. Sorry. I was wasting my time. If there is a God, he's been gone all along. The hospital was small, tucked in the outskirts of Omaha, Nebraska. Outside, the air smelled spoiled with chemicals and disinfectant. You could feel the weight, the pain through the deafening silence. My parents rotated visits, trying to be cheerful, but they had the same eyes everyone here did. Hollowed and somberly vacant, waiting for the inevitable horrible news. A few rooms down the hall, there was a boy named Nick, 20, same diagnosis. He wore a Red Sox beanie and smiled too easily for someone that thin. He still had a light behind his hollowed eyes. Dim, but there. He radiated a sort of bittersweet warmth, as if he knew he was already dead, but was holding it together for everyone else. We started talking during chemo sessions. We compared IV bruises while we swapped playlists. He joked about how he'd haunt me in the hospital if things went bad. He had a sarcastic and morbid sense of humor, though despite this, with his bittersweet warmth, I could see in his eyes that he was terrified. I've always had an ability of reading people's eyes. They truly were the windows to people's souls. My mother always said I didn't need the ability to read minds. I could tell everything I needed to know from people's eyes. I think Nick knew I was even more terrified. I'm gonna snooze the ad, hold on. There you go. I think Nick knew I was even more terrified. It wasn't exactly hard to tell he was trying to make me feel better, and he did. For a while, it helped me more than I thought possible. For a while, I almost forgot I was dying. Almost. One afternoon, Nick looked exhausted, more so than usual, only this time not physically, but mentally as well. This wasn't like Nick. He always had a cheerful energy, even if faked. He said, "Do you ever feel like someone's in here with us when the lights are off?" I nervously laughed, but he didn't. His eyes darted to the far corner of the room, where the curtain hung slightly open. He said he'd been seeing something. A tall shape, black from head to toe. Oh, that's just the hat man. Don't worry about him. Oh, sorry. That's not what it says. Don't worry about him. You just take some more Benadryl, you'll be fine. Sorry. Sometimes, he said he'd been seeing something. A tall shape, black from head to toe. Sometimes standing beside the machines. Sometimes crouched in the corners where the light didn't reach. Always still and watching him. Maybe a nurse? I asked. Nick shook his head. No, it watches me. It doesn't breathe. I tried to tell him it was the meds, the fatigue, the fluorescent shadows playing tricks. But deep down, I'd seen enough weird reflections in dark corners to know how easily the mind could invent monsters. A pit grew in my stomach as I realized Nick was starting to succumb to these monsters. I've known him for months now, and I've never seen him acknowledge these demons, let alone face them. Now he was losing against them, and quickly. A week later, I went to Nick's room with a deck of cards. His bed was empty, sheets folded tight and neatly. The IVs and machines were gone. Burning and heavy tears built in my eyelids. I saw a nurse walking down the hallway in my direction and asked her what happened. She smiled gently, the kind of smile nurses give when they can't say the thing out loud. I could see it in her eyes. Her heart was aching with visible sorrow. "Don't worry," she said. "Nick doesn't need the hospital anymore." Her tone was soft, affirmative. Final. I walked back to my room, my stomach in shambles. It felt like my chest was collapsing, as if it were a demolition site. I stared at the ceiling for hours, sobbing as quietly as I could until the lines blurred. That night, I dreamed of Nick standing in my doorway, his face pale, eyes sunken. Behind him, something or someone, possibly tall, leaned into the frame, cloaked, its hand resting on his shoulder, with the smile slowly cracking and a hand reaching out towards me, as if to join them. I started seeing him 2 days later. Initially, just flashes. A tall silhouette reflecting in the dark monitor screens or windows, occasionally standing at the end of the corridor post-visiting hours. Each time I blinked, he was gone. Until one day, he wasn't. 7 to 9 feet tall. Jesus. That is so really tall. Hunched, yet regal. Cloaked in black like a tear in reality. A scythe, curved and bone-colored, rested against his shoulder. He never moved, never spoke, just stared. I laid there, motionless, and waded to the bed as though my bones were concrete. I felt the most fear I've ever felt. I thought my heart would shoot directly to the other side of the room, though in all of my fear, I couldn't shake one thought. You've got to be kidding me. If it weren't for the paralyzing terror, I would have laughed to myself of deranged exhaustion. I'm seeing the goddamn Grim Reaper. I told my parents. They didn't see anyone. I told the nurses. They exchanged looks. One whispered a suggestion to the other MRI. Maybe the cancer had spread to my brain. That hit me like a tow truck filled with soaking wet sand. The next time I saw him, he was closer, standing behind the IV pole as I slept. When I woke up, my monitor alarm was shrieking. My heart rate had spiked to nearly 170 BPM. That night, I sobbed until dawn. I was exhausted and aching beyond comprehension. The painkillers were the only thing keeping me just barely alive at this point. And now, even they were failing miserably. I went over the side of the bed and vomited violently into the bin. One day, the figure started whispering, always the same words. You're going to die. Sometimes right beside my ear, sometimes echoing from the vents. Tell me something I don't already know, I would resentfully think to myself. I threw a water cup once, and it passed through him. The cup shattered against the wall. The figure didn't flinch. He just looked back at the wall, then turned to me, smiling that disgusting fucking smile. I was terrified, but my intense hate-fueled spite for this thing outgrew any fear I had. Just kill me already, you goddamn creep. Stop fucking with me, I would scream. Sleep became impossible. Any few minutes I managed were filled with dreams of black corridors, hospital halls collapsing and rotting with rust, as well as Nick's voice echoing, begging me to run. But there was nowhere to go. You can't outrun something that waits inside your bones. I decided one night that if he came again, I wouldn't be paralyzed anymore. I would fight, even if it took my life. When the lights flickered and the air went cold, I didn't close my eyes. I didn't look away. I was ready. He appeared taller than I had ever seen before, the scythe scraping the ceiling tiles as he stepped forward. I had to know. Why me? I shakily whispered, all of my poison-backed spite overcame by desolated grief. He tilted his head, almost curious, in the hollow beneath the hood. His smile spread. Eyes a deeper red than the blood of any living being. His voice rumbled with the room. I felt it vibrating through my bones. You are already mine. I lunged. The IV pole clattered. I grabbed the nearest syringe, one of the chemo injections waiting for my next session. I lunged it straight into his chest. He convulsed. The scythe crashed into the floor. His body split like glass hit by lightning, trapped in a firecracker, light leaking from every fracture. He looked at me one last time, smiling again. Then he crumpled into a dark dust-like substance, fading into the hospital air. I stumbled back against the bed, starting to sob, but it was different this time. I wasn't sobbing from pain or woe. For the first time in months, I felt in control. I felt every bit of tension loosen. I felt light and tranquil. For the first time in months, I truly fell asleep. When I opened my eyes, morning light poured through the blinds. Everything was blurry, but I felt peaceful. Better than that, I actually felt good. Not the type of good from the morphine. I felt how I remembered years ago. My parents were there. So were the nurses. The doctor smiled for the first time since meeting him. The treatment had worked. My cancer was gone. I didn't understand. My head buzzed, and I had a million thoughts, each going 1,000 miles per hour. But the door opened, and Nick walked in. He looked healthy, actually healthy. He looked the most alive I had ever seen in him. His eyes were bright again with the most beautiful blue, as if I were staring directly into the Atlantic, not the previously fading gray they had once been. We stared at each other for a second before we both broke down, hugging and laughing through tears. "I've been in remission," he said. "They told me you were as well this morning and I had to come see you." I laughed and it hurt the kind of hurt that proves you're alive. I think there was supposed to be a comma there. I laughed too, and it hurt. The kind of hurt that proves you're alive. Sometimes, late at night, I still think about the Reaper. About his awful smile when the light took him apart. About the way his shadow looked like smoke curling from a dying fire. Nick once told me, we were never fighting death. We were fighting what tried to take us before our time. I haven't gotten that out of my head since. But I like that. It makes the dark corners easier to look at. Because sometimes, when the silence grows too loud, or even when the lights in my room flicker, I don't feel afraid anymore. That was good. That is the end of that that story. I was feeling emo for thinking that Nick was gone. Okay, patient 347. I don't know if it ever tied back to that. 347. I think maybe they were just like, okay, this is a good name. Okay, cool. Okay. I think we'll be able to squeeze in another story. Take another sip of my wine and we'll get started. Okay. Oh, thank you for joining the server. I just saw you hop in our home base. Welcome. Definitely feel free to look around at some of the silly shit that we have said time and time again. I try to post dumb shit from the stream in the memes, but I also upload all of my VODs to YouTube because all of them disappear from Twitch now. So if you actually want to watch streams that are previous, you can find them on YouTube too. Okay. The Child in Distress. It was the last hour of my shift. The quiet stretch where you start to let your guard down. The calls usually calm down by then. Maybe a noise complaint, maybe a drunk asleep in his car. Nothing that sticks with you. Dispatch came through, voice crackling with static. Possible child in distress, they said. Anonymous caller. Crying heard inside a home believed to be vacant. I remember the way my stomach sank. Not from fear, but exhaustion. Halloween night always meant prank calls, fake screams, some idiot hiding behind a bush trying to film reactions for the internet. But the dispatcher's tone changed mid-sentence. Caller said it sounds muffled, like someone's trying to keep the kid quiet. That sentence killed my hesitation. I threw on my lights and headed out. When I arrived on scene, I radioed over to dispatch. Dispatch, show me off at the location of the child in distress. I'll keep you advised. The house was completely dark. As I walked up the front path, I could hear faint laughter echoing from down the street. Kids still trick-or-treating, their voices carried by the wind. I took out my flashlight and stepped closer to the entrance. The front door was cracked open just enough to notice. Vacant house. Open door. Halloween night. All of the makings of a horror movie. I kept my breathing steady and pushed the door open. The hinges gave a low groan that bled into the silence. Police! I'm entering the residence. No response. Only the sound of my own breathing and the faint hum of the radio on my shoulder. We received a call about a child in distress, I said, voice steady, but heart racing. If anyone's hurt, make a noise or call out. As I continued forward to clear the house, I heard it, the soft whimper of a child, distant, but close enough to make the hair on my neck stand up. I called out again. Police! Is anyone injured? No answer. Just that same quiet, stuttering cry. It came in short bursts, like whoever it was trying to hold it in. I swept the light across the room. Empty. The sound seemed to come from deeper inside. Maybe toward the back hallway, maybe below. It was hard to tell. I took a step forward. The floor creaked beneath me and the crying stopped. As I made my way toward the back of the house, my light caught a door, slightly cracked, leading down into darkness. The basement. I stopped at the top of the stairs and called down. Is anyone down there? Silence. The same heavy silence I'd felt since stepping inside. I reached for my radio. Dispatch sent me another static. I adjusted the knob. Tried again. Nothing. Just more static. I didn't have time to troubleshoot. There was really a child down there. I couldn't stand here waiting for backup. I tightened my grip on the flashlight and started down the stairs. I began the slow descent into what I can only describe as empty darkness. My flashlight barely reached past the first few steps. With every creak of wood beneath my boots, the cries grew louder. Still faint, but unmistakably closer. Hang on, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. I'm coming to help. At the bottom, I swept the flashlight across the basement. Left to right, nothing, nothing, nothing. Then the beam caught something in the far corner, a glint of metal. I stepped closer, raising the light. A cage. Not the kind you'd keep an animal in. This was built, anchored into the foundation itself. Heavy bolts driven into concrete, steel, thick bars. The top was fused to the wall with rusted brackets, as if someone had wanted to make sure whatever was in there never moved. The crying had stopped. I could just make out a small shape inside, pressed against the far corner. Then a voice, soft, trembling. They lock me down here when I don't listen. I took a step closer, careful not to blind whoever was inside. Who keeps you down here? Are you okay? There was a pause, then a small voice answered. The bad people. The words were so faint, I almost couldn't hear. Then, thud. Heavy footsteps above me, slow at first, then faster. I froze, staring up toward the ceiling as dust fell from between the floorboards. Another step, then another, then a shout, sharp, furious, loud. No, 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 you're not supposed to be in here. The voice came from directly above me. Before I could react, the basement door slammed shut. The sound echoed down the stairwell like a gunshot. Darkness swallowed everything. And that's the end of that story. No conclusion. Damn. I want to know what happened. Shit. Fuck. Well, I saw people asking for a part 2, so maybe I'll try to keep my eye out for it to make sure. But that was our Frightful Fables After Dark. Thank you for being here. We're gonna try to keep doing these, try to figure out what other things we can read together for fun. Or just keep reading scary stories because literally why not? Fuck, like fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Nope, that's not what I really meant, but I'm gonna finish this wine. I'm gonna heat up my dinner. I'm gonna put on some Supernatural and take a bubble bath. A bubble bath. A bubble bath. Oh. Yep, that's red wine. God. Sure puts hair on your chest, don't it? Well, 8 p.m. was our cutoff for voting for our movie for tomorrow. And I want to peek to see if we have a winner. Yay, we do. Word. All right, so we are going to be watching Hocus Pocus tomorrow night. Tomorrow is I think a 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. instead of the 4 to 6 time frame, Pacific Standard Time. We have a designated spot, obviously for movies and shows, but we also have the Bean Theater where I will stream the movie for you guys and we can just all hang out and watch it together and joke around in the chat and all that stuff. So thank you for coming to our Frightful Fables. This will probably be the last one for October. We'll see when I do this again. Maybe, yeah. I'm like thinking of stuff for real time, and I need to just like let myself chill, let that stuff like marinate for a little bit. So I'm also trying to find a good song to play us out, man. Should we do some 9 Inch Nails? In the spirit of Halloween, we're gonna do some Nin. And I will see y'all tomorrow night. Good night. Don't let the bed bugs bite. Bye.